Welcome to the Leader's Edge podcast. I'm Sandy Laycox, Editor-in-Chief of Leader's Edge. This episode continues our podcast series with global insurer AXA XL. I talk with Rose Hall, Senior Vice President and Head of Innovation for the Americas, as well as Billy Volz, Southwest Property Underwriting Leader and Ecosystem Ambassador for AXA XL. We discuss the intersection of their two roles as the insurer works to tie innovation directly to the underwriting function. We look at specific areas of innovation, client adoption, and how it all plays out in policy terms and conditions. Give it a listen. So welcome everyone to our latest AXA XL podcast series. We, a few months ago, had our most recent podcast with AXA XL's Chief Distribution Officer, Bob Peretti. We had a great conversation right before RIMS. We talked all about the property market, capacity, underwriting, all kinds of issues going on there, none of which has changed all that much. So we will get into a little bit of that with our new guests. I'm here with Rose Hall, who is the Senior Vice President and Head of Innovation for Americas for AXA XL, and Billy Volz, who is Southwest Property Underwriting Leader, as well as an Ecosystem Ambassador for AXA XL, which we will get into and explain. So welcome, Rose and Billy.
Hi there.
Great
Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you all here. I'm very excited to continue this conversation. We're going to start off with you, Rose, actually, because you have a new role here, Head of Innovation at AXA XL, and I want our listeners to understand why that role was created, what you're doing, and then how you're working with Billy's team.
Absolutely, Sandy. Thanks. Glad to be here, and I'm glad to talk about this topic. The Head of Innovation for America's role is pretty unique. We created it last year, and it stemmed from the need to have an innovation presence, not just in our operations groups, not just dedicated to technology and infrastructure and business architecture. We already have all that. What I feel we're lacking as an industry is innovation tied directly to underwriting. And so this role was created last year, and it reports to the Chief Underwriting Officer of the Americas, and it's dedicated to the client-facing efforts our underwriters are putting forth, and really just dedicated to delighting the customer, helping them reduce their risk, helping our customers build resilient businesses, so that hopefully we'll have more to insure for them.
Great. Well, I thank you for sharing that with us and opening this conversation up for us as we delve in further. We're going to go to Billy now and talk a little bit about, from your underwriter perspective, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from clients? And, when I talked with Bob, he talked about underwriters having to look at new things, look at hidden costs, change their approach a little bit. Any of that you'd like to talk about with us?
Sure. No, great. Appreciate it, Sandy. Yeah, let me start with kind of what we're experiencing right now in property underwriting. And so, from a new business standpoint, what we're seeing a lot of submission flow throughout the first half of the year. And really, this seems to be from clients and brokers out there exploring for all potential options, right, for pricing and coverage. And as you kind of alluded to in the previous podcast, right, things with Bob, what we've seen is a continuation of sort of these cat events and these large loss events, right? So more than ever, right, we see this increasing catastrophic risk landscape, the effects of that. And then from a non-cat side, right, loss costs are up because all the other things that have been happening in the world the last 2 years. So when you think about the total cost of risk, right, our clients and what they're experiencing, right, that has increased dramatically. And we haven't really seen that sort of bend to any extent just yet. So, so where it takes us and what we're seeing is, for clients is even more so nowadays, right, that desire to partner with the insurance carrier, right? And then really it's after that, it's trying to secure some stability within their insurance programs. And from our standpoint, whether it's new business or renewal business, the first approach we take with our clients, right, is laying the groundwork for that healthy partnership. And then what we try to do is we try to expand this across all lines of business, right? So therefore we can work together to build what we would see as durable insurance programs But with this new added sort of benefit here that Rose and I are going to talk a little bit more about, right? Which is sort of insurance related technologies and services that we like to find out in the world, bring to our clients, right? To help them address specific risk problems, right? And in turn, all of this, the aim is to hopefully, right, allow these programs, these clients be able to sustain through, right, the challenges that we see out in the world today.
So you talked a lot about working with clients in navigating this stuff and navigating these challenges. So I asked to both of you, because we hear brokers all the time struggling with how to, have these difficult conversations about pricing, and wanting to have more holistic conversations about risk management. So how are you working with brokers on these types of conversations and really delivering these products, which we will get into shortly, to clients?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And, I would say right now, when we think about the what's happening with total cost of risk, right, and what our clients are experiencing, and going back to the partnership side of things, right? So we look at it a couple different ways. We definitely need to partner with our brokers, right? They need to advocate for us. We need to support them. They support their clients, right? This is a partnership amongst all stakeholders involved. And certainly when we talk about and we think about these new technologies and solutions, right? I think it makes the most sense for us to bring them into the mix so they understand what we have identified, what types of services that we can bring the clients, and then we can have them work with us, right, to be able to find that right match between technology and client pain points. And that way, we're both bringing sort of this comprehensive solution to our clients. Now, when we think about sort of outside of that, the other part of your question was when we talk about sort of what's happening with pricing and rates and things like that. What we do with our clients, so and aside from bringing these new solutions, is also we take a look at that program, and it's while rate and pricing is important, we also look at the entire program in terms of the terms and conditions, right? So what we're trying to find are opportunities within an insurance program to say, hey, if we're looking for portfolio improvement, right, to be able to sustain for the long term with a client to provide this coverage as a partnership. Then we look at other elements of the program, right? As there potential terms and conditions, deductibles that can change, not just the price, right? So we can truly take a full comprehensive approach to a program, provide the best benefit to that client based on the risk transfer side of things, and then again, sort of support with these insurance related technologies and services that we can bring to the client.
Yeah, great comments, Billy. And I'll just tack on top of that because when we zoom out to what that looks like, when you look at property and then you zoom out to what it looks like for all of our customers, what we created with our ecosystem is a way to address not just the parts of risk that we affect with insurance. There's really three ways our customers can manage risk, right? That's risk management 101. The three ways you manage risk are you give it away to somebody else, through a contract, or you buy insurance for it, or you decide to keep it, right? Retain, transfer, or buy insurance for it. And we as an industry have been traditionally focused on the part where you buy insurance for it. Naturally, we're an insurance company, we're an insurance industry, but thinking more about our customers' risk profile as all three of those pieces, and not just the part where our products can help, but we think about how we can help them with the risk they're retaining. And that's helping them with technologies that can help reduce that risk, even if it's something that we're not actually insuring. Some of our customers have very, very high deductibles. Some of our programs, 5, 10 million even. And we want our customers to know that we're concerned with their risk in all of those layers, not just the part that hits our books, right? So when we think about helping them with risk reducing technologies and other solutions, we're really trying to help the entire organization. And when we help them control their risk holistically, not just by transferring it to us through insurance, we really become that deeper partner with them, and we solidify that relationship in a way that shows them that we are in the risk with them, regardless of what part of it we are actually taking on our balance sheet. We want them to be successful organizations that are profiting and growing and able to innovate and drive our society forward. There's a lot of innovation to be had in the universe, and not a lot of companies will take risk if they don't know that some part of it is shared with someone else, so that they're not completely putting themselves out there on the line. So we see our role as an insurer as really being the backbone of progress and the backbone of innovation by enabling our customers to stick their necks out just a little bit, create something newer and more interesting, knowing that we've got their backs in the long run.
Rose, that's a great point. I think we do definitely see more and more companies having to keep more of that risk, right? As pricing goes up and things happen, we see it on the healthcare side, we see it on the PC side. So that's a great point that you're making in terms of that holistic risk management. Let's get into some of these technologies a little bit further that you all are developing. First question is, are clients receptive to using them? And then what tech seems to be getting the most attention?
Clients generally are very receptive to new technologies. Everybody likes a shiny, blinky object that promises you the world, right? Their challenge is that 10 years ago, there wasn't enough technology to help mitigate the risks that our customers are facing. Now the problem is there's too much, and they're not sure where to start and what is real and what's pie in the sky, what is actually risk reducing and going to produce a return on their investment, or what's just cool. So we're helping them quell the noise of all the technologies that are out there, and by doing the research for them, making the comparisons, talking to their peers. That's one of the biggest things our customers really enjoy about our ecosystem of technologies, is that they can say, well, what are other companies my size and shape that do what we do? What are they using, and do they like it? And then we can share those testimonials and help them find the right text to meet their needs. Yeah, and a couple of the new technologies that seem to be getting the most attention are broadly, I would say, AI powered imagery, so computer vision powered imagery that can, say, watch a warehouse floor and identify a puddle that could potentially be a slip hazard. That's getting a lot of attention. Also, it can identify, using AI, it can identify all kinds of things, all kinds of safety infractions that can be mitigated before they cause a problem. The next one I would say has been pretty hot is telematics and advanced driving assistance systems, ADAS. This is collecting data from the way humans drive and helping figure out what type of driving behavior requires some coaching to improve driving behavior, and then also can intervene with the driver and help prevent a collision, say lane departure warning or radar that tells you when you're getting too close to the vehicle in front of you. Again, computer vision that can notice when your eyes are down and beep at you or flash at you to let you know, hey, you might have been falling asleep or just looking at your phone while you're driving. So imagery and telematics and ADAS. And then another one would be water mitigation, of course. I'll let Billy talk a little bit more about water mitigation.
Yeah, and I did want to talk more about the spill on aisle four type of technology that you've mentioned before. But anyways, we'll jump right into water mitigation. And so, yeah, what's great about that is, and let me back up a quick second. So, when we think about the losses that we see coming and rolling in through the door, um, water damage is the largest loss category we experience in terms of number of losses and volume, right? And so this is a type of peril, right, that spreads across many industries and across many of our clients. It's not just hotels and offices, right? So it's basically we're looking at healthcare, we're looking at high-tech manufacturing, data processing, financial institutions, food manufacturing, you name it. There's not many client businesses that are immune, right, to the threat of water damage. And so the other thing that we've been seeing is we've been seeing a big increase in those costs, right? So with the supply chain issues of the past couple of years, the material shortages, labor increased costs, what this is all sort of worked out as is we're seeing the average cost of this type of loss double in many, many cases. So we focused our attention on the flow sensing and leak detection type of technology. And really what this does is this will be able to detect small leaks, right, within a facility, that type that happened in the middle of the night on the weekend, right? And then you find it 2 days later, it's spread down 2, 3 floors, created a whole bunch of damage. Everything from that to that large catastrophic leak or failure, right? Where maybe it was an accidental sort of strike from a contractor with a larger pipe inside the building, or it might have been a coupling failure or some sort of mechanical failure, right? So the way this works is the technology senses the flow, the normal patterns. It observes a building's normal flow patterns, and then it identifies signatures, right? Where it identifies the equipment. So it knows what's a toilet when a toilet flushes, it knows what a sink is, it knows what a piece of mechanical equipment is in the building, right? And so then as it scans continuously over time, it's looking for seeking anomalies, right? Things that are outside of the normal pattern or flow. So in that example where you have a catastrophic pipe break, you're going to have this surge of water flowing. It's going to pick it up immediately. And then what happens from there is typically a set of preset conditions that the owner will have with the company, one of our partners, that says, hey, you're going to either send me a text, a phone call, or an email, or you're going to go ahead and shut off the water within a certain short amount of time, right? So that's basically how it works there. Another benefit that we're finding, right, with this technology is the capability to monitor water consumption, right? And this really speaks to some of our clients' sustainability objectives nowadays. So with this technology, with the data and analytics that come along with it, a client may be able to sit there and monitor the daily, monthly flow, set targets and objectives, and then spot any potential inefficient equipment that might be overusing water, and then potentially saving the client thousands of gallons a year.
Really, I think that that is a great last point that you made on the monitoring of consumption and leads us into a little bit of a conversation around clients of yours who are working on ESG goals or just general sustainability. Is this something that you're discussing with them and offering as, an additional benefit of these technologies?
We are. It's definitely coming up in the conversations, right? And then specific to water mitigation, when we do demonstrate this product with some customers, we are getting a lot of interest, right, on that side of things. First and foremost, when this technology was developed, right, it had the approach of let's identify, prevent, mitigate sort of water damage itself. But this added benefit here really is becoming a front and center type of conversation. And it's really becoming a useful tool to be able to identify that. Now, I'll kick it over to Rose because Rose has some perspective as well on some of the other technologies that speak to the ESG side of things.
Yeah, yeah. And the one other category I would mention in this conversation would also be worker wearables. And so when we think about supporting our customers in their whole picture of risk, right? We thought about what else can we support them with? What are their business goals beyond just protecting their risk? Everybody wants to grow. They want to grow profitably. We are all interested in promoting ESG in our businesses, including AXA XL. And we feel the best way we can do that is to not just do it for our own colleagues and our own organization, but to help our customers achieve that as well. So when we look at the categories that we just talked about, and there's many more. There's wildfire detection tools, there's earthquake detection tools, there's a whole bunch of tools in our suite, but I'll stick with the top four for now. The telematics, water mitigation, worker wearables, and imagery and computer vision. We look at the ESG components of those. They are supporting environmental goals through water consumption on the water mitigation tools. The telematics and the worker wearables are protecting humans. That's your social component. All of the data that it comes from these technologies can help support the governance of all of those things. And so, there's a lot we're already doing as an industry to protect our risk that also gets you a little bit of credit on the ESG side. We just figured, why not share it that way with the industry and with our clients and say, hey, by the way, if you're protecting your water mitigation, you're stopping leaks, but you're also able to better conserve water. It's a double whammy. So it's another way to get deeper with the customer and to help them meet their goals, regardless of whether or not it's something we physically insure.
All right. Billy, I know that you mentioned earlier looking at, terms and conditions in terms of policies and working with clients on multiple factors of their policy. But does tech adoption of some of these, say the top four that Rose mentioned, do these have any, do they lead to loss prevention and more favorable rates and terms? Does any of that play out in their pricing?
Now, great question. Yeah. So when you think about property conservation as a whole, right? Now, you have elements of risk engineering or loss prevention practices, good safety practices by the client, maybe with the help of an insurance carrier like ourselves, and then sort of the added benefit and the inclusion of the insurance related technologies and services, right? Sort of that comprehensive approach there. We would expect, right? A sort of more prevention, more mitigation, reducing that overall loss cost, right? In some cases, we've seen that. And, that lends itself to more favorable rate and terms.
All right, so one last question for you all, just on the client service side. We need to come back to this ecosystem ambassador conversation as well. How are you all tying it together, and working with your clients to make sure that they're aware of and adopting these technologies, and really doing your best to kind of ensure this holistic risk mitigation is happening?
Yeah, Sandy. So what we did was we created an internal network here at AXA XL of what we're calling ecosystem ambassadors, and ecosystem being the collection of technologies in our suite, the thought leadership that supports that, some benchmarking services that help our customers figure out where they stand and where they'd like to improve with technology adoption. So that's a breadth of our ecosystem. And in order to get that out into the universe and really make it meaningful for the customer, we can't sit here in an innovation group in the middle of a very, very large organization and hope that this goes out into the wild and is successful. It's a group effort. It's a team effort. So what we did was we enlisted two ecosystem ambassadors from each of our Americas business units. So that's 9 different lines of business, including property, of course, where we have Billy here. And what they're doing is exactly what Billy is doing times 9. So understanding the specific market for the insurance products we write in that line of business, understanding the customers, understanding their problems, their risks, what they're looking for in a technology, and how we can best help. And then each one of those ambassadors has their own ambassador network within their line of business. So Billy's got, somewhere between, I'm going to guess, 10 and 15 of his own ambassadors within his property group that he's training to do the same. So that when every one of our AXA XL representatives, whether it's an underwriter or a claims professional or a risk consultant, when anyone from AXA XL sits with a customer, they're armed with all the things we're able to offer the customers, including our ecosystem, which, by the way, the technologies that we have in our suite, we've negotiated rates with them such that they all provide our customers with a discount. So that's a real benefit to the customer and to the technology, frankly, because we're giving the technology exposure to customers that really need their solution and really are invested in technology. So we've got all our ambassadors talking every day with our customers and our brokers about what we have to offer here and making sure that it comes across as a holistic offering from the organization. As part of the service we provide our customers, this ecosystem is included in that relationship, in that service.
Wow, that's really comprehensive. Billy, any final thoughts you want to add on working in this way?
Now, I mean, Rose pretty much said it great. And yeah, the only thing I'd say is, yeah, as sort of we look in within the line of business and property, as you described, we have around 10 of our own ambassadors. We really lean on these folks, and some of which are actual risk engineers that we have in the organization. If you think about it, right? So they're walking through our clients' facilities every day. They're already talking and thinking loss prevention all day, constantly. So they're seeing, a lot of the sort of the pain points these clients, right, at a facility level that, when we discuss and talk to the corporate clients, they may not sort of understand fully or see all the potential sort of risk out there. So we really, it's like some insight directly into what's happening boots on the ground, on the front lines with the client in their facilities. So they're able to sort of take that back to us and say, hey, we're starting to see some trends, and then they're out there trying to help find these new solutions, right? So we can then sort of bring that back to our pipeline. And then as we investigate, and again, it's all about finding that technology and finding the right match to specific client pain points, right? So it's a very good process the way it works, right? We just kind of started it last year within property, and we're working to sort of build that together to be a really strong engine to help us push forward even more with the technology development and searching for our clients.
Well, it sounds like you guys are really moving this forward, and it's going to be exciting to see how you roll it out into, all other business lines. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been great furthering this conversation with you all, getting deeper into property, technology, and risk management.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
That was Rose Hall and Billy Volz of AXA XL. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. For more in our AXA XL podcast series, go to leadersedge.com.